So I'm going to give you this contract behind me, which is transacted well over $1 million. And I'm also going to show you how to use it to actually sign clients for 5K, 10K, 20K, and collect the full contract value on your coaching programs that you sign on. So I don't say this to scare you, but you need to understand how each phase of this contract actually works, why it's there, and really just how the whole thing functions together so that A, if you get any questions, you can answer them during the sales process, but then B, so you also understand the legality behind it and you don't end up in a random court in Timbuktu. So the first fundamental point we have to get to is what the actual purpose of the contract is. Almost everyone in their mind thinks that this is some kind of legally binding entity that if they sign, they now have to pay every single split pay, and if they don't, they're going to be thrown in a maximum security prison. I just hate to break it to you, that is not the case. I can't tell you how many times we've had many clients sign a contract and then continue to, after the first split pay or whatever they agreed to installment on the call, never pay another installment. And I struggled like this for a very long time until I really understood that the purpose of this contract is really just to be an agreement of services. Now, what that means is that you are pretty much laying out everything that's going to happen over the term of your period working together. So whether that is 3 months, whether that is 6 months, whether that's 12 months, and you're going to be taking that and you're going to be putting it onto a piece of paper so that the expectations are clear on both ends. Pretty much you're just setting mutual expectations. And if it's aligned and you say, hey, I do X, Y, Z, and in return, I'm going to receive X, Y, Z. And you're going to be doing X, Y, Z, and you're going to receive X, Y, Z. And that is what the actual purpose of the contract at its fundamental basis is. If we can make it extremely clear what they're getting on the front end, so the result that they're going to achieve, the mechanism to achieve that, on a day-to-day basis, what they're actually doing once they start with us. And then in return, they say, okay, well, if I get this, I'm agreeing to pay this much per month. And if we install and we work to this point, maybe we do X revenue share or just finish the contract value, whatever your agreement actually is. But you need to understand fundamentally that you're not trying to lock them into a legal battle. Your goal is to make it extremely clear what is going to happen. Because if you do that, again, business is people versus people, you can fundamentally just get everyone good to go and you're set from that point on if they understand clear expectations and it's not really about binding them legally. But that being said, you do have to still cover yourself and your business just for proper operating purposes. So the first thing that I'm actually scrolling through right here is going to be where your actual agreement is and the basis of what the purpose of the entire document is. So you pretty much want to say, well, where's your company from? And you can always fill in this template. Pretty much the jurisdiction that we operate under, which is just, hey, if anything happens, we're operating under the laws of this country. For me, that's Canada. And then also what the purpose of this document is. So you want to say you own the product, the purposes of everything that they're going through here, and you're granting the client access to all of them with your service, pretty much a kind of licensing. Now, that is pretty much just to get all of the ownership out of the way. Here is the very important part of a contract that I see almost no one actually dial in. And that is what I call the services agreement and then the also fee section. So as you can see right here, what happens is we take the program term that they're doing. So the program term could be 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. Then we also fill in the total program fee. We have the payment term. So the payment term is, let's say we have a total program fee of 10K and we're going to be doing 2 installments. The payment term is going to be 2 5,000s. And then once again, the monthly fee right here is going to be that 5,000. The payment term is going to be those 2 months. And then total due today is the amount we collect up front. So for example, if we're doing this split pay, let's say we only have $3,333. We're going to collect that up front. And then we're going to have 2 more terms of another $3,333. Then included services for actually doing this. So after you've written in the payment terms for everything that you're going to be covering, you want to include the services and the products that they're actually going to be receiving. So you want to break this down to the deliverables. You don't want to write your offer here. You're not saying, hey, I'm going to help you achieve X, Y result. That's not what this is about. This is about how you actually make the offer possible. So is that one-on-one consulting calls with you? Is that group coaching calls with you? Is that a course with you? Is that a mastermind? Is that a licensing system? Is that a done for you thing you're to be doing? You want to write all of it down and get extremely clear about it. And you're not only going to write this, but as you're going through the contract with this person, you're going to want to explain what each segment of these purposes actually is and actually for. And if there's any applicable notes, you want to write them now. So any specifications of they don't want to receive this part of the service or they don't want to receive that part of the service, you want to break it down and you want to make it extremely clear right here. Now, This is a section for them, and it's really just, once again, about aligning the expectations. It says, start now, charge my credit card, total due today services. I then authorize company name, in my case, Scholar, to charge my credit card, X amount here, monthly thereafter for the payment term above. This payment plan is not a recurring fee and is not subject to chargebacks. So, what I want to explain in this section, it is not a recurring fee. Well, you might be asking, Alex, well, there's a monthly fee here for the payment term. How is that not a recurring fee? Well, pretty well, this is the way that it's going to work. You're going to have a total contract value. So let's say, for example, once again, we're going to go back to that 10 grand, and you're going to have installments that make up paying off that 10 grand. This is not a monthly recurring service like $2,000 a month till the end of infinity. This is, hey, we have a total amount here, and the terms inside of it are to pay off that total amount on the split pay. If you're getting a PIF, well, congrats, because you don't have to actually do this part. Then, from that point on, this payment plan is not subject to chargebacks. So, given everything is met in the included services and products section, you want to make it explicitly clear that this payment is not subject to chargebacks if all of these things are received and what you are actually agreeing on with the services. So, for example, if you're teaching someone how to get into shape, you're doing an online fitness coaching program. Well, if you allow them and you give them XYZ result, it is not subject to chargeback. What a lot of people need to understand is that fundamentally, chargebacks are for fraud, which means someone steals your credit card or explicitly scams you, and then you're calling the bank to say, hey, my credit card just got scammed. If they're agreeing to all these things here, it is a transaction between a person and a business, or if it's B2B, a business and a business, and you are no longer scamming them because it's very clear what they're getting here. And if you have these expectations, this is super easy to go through. Then, obviously, signatures here, their person for the actual signer at your business, and then also their company billing information. And that is going to be a very important part of the contract that almost no one covers because it gets all the financials clear. So you're never going to hear any headaches about, I didn't know this was a fee, I didn't know that worked, I didn't know how this existed. But now you got that covered. The next phase is going to be a lot of the actual agreements, the service terms, and everything that is about really just making sure they understand where each section of the program is, whose responsibility lies for it, and everything here. So this is going to be custom based on what you're doing, but essentially, here's what you want to cover. First off is ownership of intellectual property. This is boring stuff, pretty much just saying that they can't steal your course, steal your assets, anything like that. Legally binding. So this is pretty well saying like, yes, even though we're agreeing in our fundamental goals to get an agreement, and people can break this still, but you want them to understand that it is a legally binding contract at the end of the day. And then from that point on, says that you authorize everything that you're saying here. Once again, is not a monthly subscription. It is an installment for the total contract value. Services, so you're pretty much agreeing that you're going to do everything that you said you're going to do, and they're going to pay if you do all those things. Service term, compensation for everything, and then also in the event of a refund given, pretty well just all these stipulations that need to be met. Do not make these some crazy, oh, you have to do this crazy input to get a refund stipulation. You essentially want to make it on a basis of fair inputs that are pretty well exercised in the entire program plan. So in the event of this online fitness coaching program that we're going over, some actual refund clauses that you could give for somebody are one, okay, if I am not able to give you XYZ thing because of your health and fitness, if at any point you have to stop and are not able to complete XYZ, and you just want to make it things that is like failure to complete. You don't ever want to make it results based, refund guarantees or anything like that, because it just puts you on a slippery slope where you don't want to run your business. And then from that point on, it's just going to be pretty well saying that you are going to work together in this whole process, and as a result of signing this, you are partners in achieving a result and whatever your offer would be. Then from that point on, these are what I like to call commitment clauses. So essentially, these are just saying like, hey, you and I are in this together, and you can obviously read through all these and understand what they mean. I actually suggest that you go through ChatGPT or you hire Quick Attorney off Fiverr to actually read through and adjust these to your specific niche once you've taken the template in this video. And then finally, the most important part of actually making this work. So you want to do credit card authorization. So if you are transacting through crypto, PayPal, or anything like that, this is not going to work. But I heavily recommend and suggest that you do actually go through and do credit card authorizations here. Because what this does and what it allows you to do is that monthly term that you had, that big overhanging monthly term, it allows you to, without friction, pretty well just say to them, hey, yada, 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 I'm ready to charge the card here. Or if it's already priorly agreed upon, hey, I'm just going to go through and charge you at the first of the month for X amount for the 3 months of this term, and then it is going to be completely void. And that would be an example of something you can do to actually see success. And if you are new to the coaching space, this might seem like, whoa, who's giving their credit card information out, yada, yada. This is something that is done at every level of business, especially in the agency space. And really, if you're giving a full installment here, it is only reasonable, because if someone gives you pushback on this, it shows that they might not actually trust you first and foremost. This means that you need to overcome that. You need to work with that through on the call that you're on with them. And then B, it also means that they might not actually have plans to pay the full installment. So you're going to want to recircle back to that and figure out what is going on. From that point on, we then just have updates about text messages and SMS. So that's the A2P stuff that you obviously have to deal with anyways, but pretty much just saying, hey, I can message you about this. And yes, I agree to the terms with my signature below. So pretty much just connecting the signature that they're going to do right below this to everything that you've said above. And then they're going to sign their name, title, date, phone number, and then you're going to sign with the exact same thing. So the only step left for you to do is to actually implement this. The first step is to just go ahead and grab the contract link in the description. Then the next thing that you actually need to do from that point on is you're going to want to take the section where I write down pretty much all of the agreeable clauses, and you're going to want to do two things. First things first is you're going to want to use ChatGPT as a quick supplement to kind of summarize and have yourself understand it a bit more. And then from that point on, you're either going to, if you already have an attorney or a lawyer, or you just don't have one right now, you can go to Fiverr, immediately contact one there, have them read through it, give them your thoughts on it, and then have them customize it to the niche that you're actually working in. And then from that point on, you can pretty much run with it yourself. Or if you already have a contract for your coaching business, what you can go ahead and do is you can add some of the clauses and the terms that I actually had in there, especially the ones about the total payment term and the also credit card authorization, because doing that on the contract is going to be so massive for your actual LTV with clients that it is going to absolutely double their LTV. To be completely transparent with you, the way that the story actually happened and played out for us is, for the longest time, we had been closing people, but our handoff between, okay, I'm ready to work with you, and then actual client delivery, that onboarding process, and then also the contract that we had them sign to actually move forward, wasn't that great. We just kind of collected payment, said, hey, here you go. And the second that we took it seriously and we actually implemented something that made the terms extremely clear, and then that segued into the transition that we began working with them, it 2x our LTV without any changes to our actual service delivery. So if you can do and actually implement those few clauses of the contract that you already have, or build it with the template that I'm going to include below, you are going to absolutely smash it with your coaching business. So outside of that, I hope the time that you spent was worth the value that you got, and I'll see you in the next one.